Has anyone ever asked you for your body after you died? This is Simon Bolivar. He was of such great importance to Venezuela that they asked for his body almost a dozen years after he died. Simon Bolivar, or the Liberator, gave freedom to Latin American countries under Spanish rule. He is one of the most important figures in South America's history. Bolivar preferably wanted to create a union such as the United States, but there was much opposition, so single nations were created instead. For this speech, I searched for credible online sources. I chose from websites that are well known and accurate. Although most people learn about who gave them independence in history class, some do not remember, even if it is the most important event that has happened in their country. Simon Bolivar was very influential to South American countries. As the liberator, Bolivar began his efforts in Venezuela, his birth country, then the colony of New Grenada, and lastly, the final country liberated by Bolivar is Peru. Simon Bolivar should be known for his contribution to the world, especially South America. Simon Bolivar started with the liberation of Venezuela from Spanish rule. The Spanish governor was removed from office and exiled in 1810 after the independence movement began in 1807. Bolivar brought Francisco de Miranda to work with him, even though he was previously exiled in 1806 for trying to liberate the country. Miranda became the leader of the independence movement, and underneath both of them, Venezuela declared independence in 1811. Over the years, animosity with Bolivar built with Miranda, and this caused the fall of Venezuela's first republic, leaving Venezuela once again under the Spaniards' control. Bolivar gathered forces to retake Venezuela, although the people of Venezuela opposed his forces. An aggressive army led by Jose Tomas Boves defeated Bolivar's army, and this ended the Second Venezuelan Republic. This is the Battle of Carabobo. It happened in June of 1821 between Bolivar and the Spaniards in Venezuela. And after this battle, Venezuela was finally free. When fighting for Venezuela, Bolivar took a detour to New Grenada. It was a Spanish colony that occupied this region of South America and was made up of these present-day countries. Simon Bolivar made New Grenada his new target and liberated them as well. It started with a surprise attack on the Spaniards. It took an army of 2,500 men that marched through rivers and the Andes Mountains. As you can see, the Andes Mountains are very treacherous, and it created a hostile environment for them to march through, and this caused many of Bolivar's men to die. In the Battle of Boyaca, after the Spaniards were surprised, they finally surrendered, and Bolivar created the new state called the Republic of Colombia. Bolivar became the president and the military dictator of this new state, and he persuaded the legislators to make the new state official. Later, Bolivar drafted a constitution for the new state. After gaining freedom for Venezuela and New Grenada, Bolivar finished the liberation of northern South America with Peru. With the Spaniards' surrender, Bolivar finalized the freedom of Latin America. Bolivar teamed up with Jose de San Martin to remove Spanish forces that were in the highlands. San Martin liberated the southern part of South America. Eventually, San Martin resigned and left the war to Bolivar. It's unknown whether the pressure got to San Martin or if he was giving Bolivar a free hand. The Spanish forces were in the mountains and they were considered unattainable. However, Bolivar formed an army to go through the mountains and make the trek. The first major battle between Bolivar and the Spaniards was won by Bolivar. Eventually, the Spanish viceroy and his army surrendered in 1824. Today, these are all of the countries that were liberated and their territory lines. Though there were many victories within his career, these 3 liberations were the highlights. Simon Bolivar is the man who is known for freeing Venezuela, New Granada, and Peru from Spanish rule and allowing them to speak for themselves and choose who rules them. He's a hero to most people in South America and will never be forgotten. Many hardships and illnesses were endured, but nonetheless, he conquered. As remembrance, a country was named after the liberator, and this is today called Bolivia.